Hi there and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my September wrap-up, which I'm super excited for. September was both a good and a bad month for me. Before you watch this, you should definitely check out my September TBR, because that's what I'm going to start off by talking about as soon as I give you my statistics. So this month, I have read a total of 8 books and 2 graphic novels, so that's 10 books total. I had read 3,588 pages, and I had an average rating of 3.7. So, I mean, like, that's pretty good, I think. The rating, I think, was a little bit lower than last month, which is fine. But yeah, if you may recall, my September TBR was quite large, and I think I did just okay. So, there's 2 books that I have not yet finished, and that is The Histories of Bees by Maas. I am about 25 pages through it right now. Not a super fan so far, but that's something that I want to finish. And I also started The Gunslinger by Stephen King, and I am 56 pages into that. It didn't really grab me yet, so those have gone on my shelved pile for now. I'll return to them soon, probably. I do have a very large October TBR, because Halloween's my fave, so we'll see what happens there. But let's talk about the books that I just did not start. First of all, let's talk about The Seeker of the Chalice. This one was the low-rated book on Goodreads for that challenge. I didn't get to that, nor did I get to The Fellowship of the Ring, which I was really looking forward to. I just ran out of time. I haven't yet started The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan, so that was a little disappointing as well. I mean, it is quite big, so it was a little intimidating. And I have not yet read The Parable of Sowers by Octavia E. Butler, which is the End of the World Book Club pick for September. So this is a book that I'm probably going to start next, even though September is now over. But yeah, so that's what I did not read this month. So I think I did pretty good. I think my TBR was like 10 books. So I still read 10 books, but just not ones for my TBR. As you probably know, the Space ReadAthon happened in September as well, and that was kind of a surprise to me. I thought it would be happening later in the year, maybe in November. So that kind of threw a wrench into a lot of my plans, because I was not expecting to build this space TBR and be reading science fiction, because none of the books on my September TBR were about space. So that I also didn't do as well as I wanted to. There will be a link down in the description box below to that TBR, as well as my September TBR and my Space ReadAthon wrap-up, because I don't really want to talk about that here today. But let's get into the books that I did read this month. First of all, I finished Lirael by Garth Nix. This was my favorite in the Abhorsen trilogy, or the Old World trilogy, and the Abhorsen series that I've read so far. As we know, Garth Nix added more books to it later on. The next book in it that I need to read is Lirael, which I will hopefully get soon, but this book was my favorite in the series. I thought the characterization was really good. I really liked Lirael. She likes dogs and books, so I mean, of course we get along well. And I rated this book 5 out of 5. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I read it, and I finished it on the first day of September. The next book I read, of course because I was marathoning, was Abhorsen by Garth Nix. I did enjoy this book. I thought the ending wrapped up a little bit too neatly, and some of the characters I found quite annoying, but I did like that Lirael made another appearance in this novel and was quite prominent in it. I rated it 4 out of 5. I still did really like it, and it was a lot of fun to read. So it was still good, even though it wasn't my favorite. After that, I was camping when I was reading these books, so I finally got around to Blackpowder Ward, the 3rd book in the Terramare series by Naomi Novik. This wasn't my favorite in this series either. It was kind of a transitional book, I think, and I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. It was just okay. I am looking forward to reading the next book in the series, because Terramare is one of my favorite dragon-related books, but we'll see how that goes. Next, I read my book of the month pick from my goals, and that was Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. This was the first book from my September TBR that I actually picked up, because I hadn't made my September TBR before I left for camping, and I did enjoy this. It was a lot like Muppet Treasure Island, which is one of my favorite movies, and I just wish that there was actually more like sea voyaging in it, so I only rated it a 3 out of 5, but it's a good book to movie translation. If you do like Muppet Treasure Island, you will probably enjoy reading this. After that, I read another book from my September TBR, and that was a hype book, and it was A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This apparently was a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, so I was supposed to be getting Beauty and the Beast vibes, which is kind of good. I enjoyed it. I didn't think the writing was anything super special, and some of the characters I found rather annoying, but I did rate it 4 out of 5. It was an enjoyable book and a pretty quick read, so that was fun, and probably one of the few YA books I've read recently. Next, I read A Princess of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. This is the first in the series about John Carter of Mars, and it was written and published in 1912. So this book had some problematic things in it, of course, because it was published in 1912, but it was very interesting. It was a fun read and rather short. It did take me a while to get through it. This is when I started hitting my reading slump, so yeah, I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. If you want more information on it, you can watch either my reading vlog or my review for this, but I don't really want to get too much into it right now. After that, trying to break myself out of reading slump, I started a Twitter poll and mystery novel 1 because I chose it. So I read The Murder of a Sweet Old Lady by Denise Swanson, which is the second book in the Scumble River Mystery series. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a lot darker than other cozy mysteries that I have read, so if you're a cozy fan and you're starting this series along with me and you've been enjoying it so far, the second book is a lot darker, and I rated it a 4 out of 5. It had all the fun things that I would have expected from this novel, but although I rated it 4 out of 5, I don't think I've liked it as much as the other books in the series that I have read so far. But yeah, always good to throw in a mystery when you're having a reading slump. And the final book that I read was Time Enough for Love by Robert A. Heinlein. This was very hard to get through. It's very massive. There's a lot going on in this novel. I still don't know how I feel about it. I rated it 3 out of 5. From what I've gathered, it's either a book that you really love or you really hate, and there's not a lot of middle ground on that. But I thought it was okay, and I'm glad that I read it. So, I'll read the next book in this series soon. Finally, on to the 2 graphic novels I read this month. First is Lumberjanes, Friendship to the Max, which is the second volume of the Lumberjanes series. I really enjoyed this. I rated it 4 out of 5. It wasn't quite as good as the first one, but it was still a lot of fun. It was everything that you would have expected from this. It threw in an element of Greek mythology, which was a lot of fun. It solved some mysteries from the first book while introducing some new mysteries, so I'm really excited to read the 3rd volume of it, which I bought recently. So, yay! Books! And finally, the last book that I read was also for a Space Readathon, which was Sag A Volume 2. I don't know if I enjoyed this one as much as the first, which is kind of like a running trend in this video now, but it was a lot of fun. It introduced some new characters, and it goes into her parents' backstory a little bit more, which I really enjoyed, and it's just fun. It's just a fun series so far. I rated this also 4 out of 5 stars. If you read the first book and you enjoyed it, might as well move on to the next book. I hear that it keeps on getting better as you go. I also have the 3rd volume of this now, so I should be reading that soon as well. So, that was everything I read this month. Let's just have a look at that stack. It's pretty hefty. There's some large books in there. Overall, despite the fact that I was in a reading slump, I'm pretty happy with what I did accomplish. It wasn't quite as good as August, but no one was really expecting it to be as good as August. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. If you've read any of the books that I talked about here today, please let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear about what you think about these books, because I enjoyed most of them. And if you didn't like them, tell me about that too, because I always think it's fun to have that sort of dialogue. And that's all I have to say for today. Be looking on the lookout for another book haul that wasn't supposed to happen. That will be coming here soon. And until then, we'll see you in the comments.